Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm selling something new in household articles. Oh, what a robust woman. Is anybody home?
No!
Okay. Good morning. Would you like a chance to feast your eyes upon my stock of merchandise? You'll say yes if you are wise.
Nothing today, kind sir.
Woolen hammers, rubber nails, and nice embroidered dinner pails. Also knitted bathroom scales.
Nothing today, kind sir.
I guess I'll go around the side door. Here we are again.
What again?
Good morning. Would you like a sieve that never leaks? A rug made by the hands of sheiks? Or some nice brand new antiques?
Nothing today, kind sir.
I'll go around the back door, I guess. I'll try it over there. Oh, dear.
Who's there?
Ice, 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 ice a truck in. Ice a truck in.
Oh, all right. Come on in.
Oh, thank you, thank you,
I
thank you.
suppose you fellas have to have your way.
Oh, yes. Now, I'd like to show you a new line of goods I'm selling here.
Really?
Yes. The automatic cheese trap. Watch it catch the mice, you know. There you are.
Oh, isn't that ducky?
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Really?
Here's my bestseller right here. Now, I'll put it right up there. You got anything with spots on it? Well, you will have here. There we are. Oh, don't get excited. Everything's under control. There we are. Watch this now. Completely and wholly removed.
So I noticed.
Now, here's a little gadget that you can't afford to be without, huh? I'll demonstrate by pouring a little clothes in here. We go over here and get a sprinkle of clothespin. Get it in. And a jigger of clothesline. Now watch. This rocket is a new racket. It not only cleans the clothes, but dries them at the same time. It goes around and around and shoots out there. Now, last but not least is this super heterodyne vacuum. Ta-da! Oh, no. I expect to clean up on this. Oh, yeah. I'll demonstrate it to you. Seems to be your short here, somewhere. There, that's better.
Oh, you nutsy dopesy, you! But we're trying to break up my house!
Oh, you'll thank me for this, lady. Now I'll show you how it removes dust from pictures. Also cleans the curtains.
Put those curtains back!
All right, don't get excited.
Who's excited?
Right back with you.
Oh, you break her up! Nothing today, kind sir!
up, Cyberspace Cadet, Cyber Fam, Fanbox Galore, Famerica? It's IRATE Prostate. It's Sunday. And you know what that means? It is time for ice cream. And the reason I call it ice cream, of course, is really simple. Most people, view ice cream as a big treat. And, in my opinion, a treat for me, what really gives me delight is meeting somebody new, getting to know them, a fresh conversation, or if it's somebody I'm aware of, somebody that interests me. I always love to talk to people, and that's a treat for me. So that's why I call it ice cream. Fair enough. Just say hey to some people in the chat before we get rolling, and I introduce the lady of the hour, or two, or five. Let's say hey to Shot Out and Tired. Hey man, JJ Lynn, Mason Mulpus, Jack Unsky, Always Lost on Nothing Else, Divine Petulance, Petulantly Divine. I like that. Duck Dog, of course. I salute you, sir. Dark Banshee, greetings. All right, so there's some good faces in here. Ryan Walters, of course, and Madness, of course. All right, so hey everybody, I just wanted to touch base before I introduce today's guest. Is a lady I met, I guess in AP's chats initially, and then I got to. I got to hang out and hear in some chats and stuff, and I said, this lady's interesting, man. And so it's like I asked her, and she was kind enough to say, yeah, let's do this, man. And so today's guest is the one and only Xaublae. Hey, how are you doing? All right, I hope I didn't. I did my intro just a wee bit different today. I don't know. I thought Famerica was funny, y'all. Whatever. All right, so I've got some questions here, Ms. Xaublae, and I always start with YouTube. Frack. Xaublae, say hey.
Hi.
All right, sorry about that. Damn it. I was muted. I fucking boomer this shit I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
So man, it's like I always start off right by fucking shit up. But yeah, like I said,
that means it's going to be a good stream.
Yeah. So we'll start with YouTube. All right. So and the question I always ask is, so how long have you been on YouTube? What was the main reason you came to YouTube? And then I want you to talk about the significance of your name.
So I came to YouTube initially, like everybody else, to look at stupid cat videos. And then, I started, I've always been political, but I started getting more into, political content as I saw, things going to chaos and the left just going out of control. And, I wanted to be involved in that side of YouTube. And that's kind of how I got... like you said, I started like with, Undoomed and Sinatra Says and like that. And then, eventually I found like AP and Virgie and, everybody else that I follow. And then the significance to my name is I was playing it at Final Fantasy 11 and I wanted a unique name that nobody else had. So I went to like a random name generator, and after like 7, 8, 10 tries, I got this name and I really liked it, and it's just become me.
Yeah, it is cool.
I have the same name for everything.
Yeah, it's like it's very unique and it catches your eye. There's a certain compositional quality to just the way the letters align together that kind of draws your eye to it.
Everybody has their own unique way of saying my name, and then everybody, I have so many nicknames out of it now. Like, some people call me Zhao, and some people call me Blay, and, a couple of people say Xaublae. Everybody has, a different take on how to say my name, and I really like that.
Yeah, see, the German teacher that I had always hops in my head when I see the letters A and U together. It's ow.
Right. Yes, it's ow.
Xaublae. Zau. Anyway, it's very German sounding. But all right, so we're going to hop in there with Cream Room now with the dog and cats, everybody. The circle of love. So the content that you pretty much gravitate to. What are you watching now?
I watch. So I don't always watch all of Sinatra's streams, but I watch Sinatra and Xaublae and AP and Ghastly and Virgie. Anytime Virgie streams, I'm there. And then I just kind of fill in, with Twitch. I watch, friends on Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Are you doing the TikTok thing now?
Oh, no. I stay away from TikTok.
It is total
I'm too old for that.
I feel you. Hey, exactly. Thank you. All right, so this is kind of where we start getting into more personal questions. So it's like and I always like to kick it off with this one. If you were, if there were, is there a food from your childhood that you hated, but now that you're an adult, that you actually enjoy the food?
And Brussels sprouts.
Brussels
I used
sprouts.
to hate them when I was a kid, and now they're like my favorite vegetables.
They're groovy. I totally agree. Yeah, I was. I don't know. I always gravitated towards cabbage anyway. That might be the Irish in me. I don't know. So, all right. So, using one word, how would you describe your family growing up?
Dysfunctional. I was a foster kid. So I started out, a Navy brat, moving around, and then I went into the system. So I spent most of my childhood in the system, moving, from family to family.
So, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay. So how did what all transpired?
So initially what transpired is some neighbors, had beef with my dad and made allegations against him, and that is how we initially went into the system. And then because the system is so wonderful, I spent 8 years in the system, with 3 different families in that time, even before they had severed my mom and dad's parental rights. We were almost adopted twice, and it was crazy. It was an interesting time. I can't say that I didn't have an interesting childhood.
That's so were they dope addicts or something, or?
Nope. My dad, my dad did good in the Navy. He ended up, because of the allegations, even though, they were never proven and really they never happened, my dad still ended up with a dishonorable discharge, and, I was at his court-martial, at 7 years old, and it was, yeah. So, I ended up, so they ended up coaching me what they wanted to say. It wanted me to say, in the courtroom. So nothing I said in the courtroom was actually my words. It was other people.
Your counselors and
my counselors and that. I was completely coached everything that I was supposed to say at his court-martial.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen that happen a lot. And how did you feel, about yourself after that happened?
Yeah, it took me. So obviously I was 7 years old. I didn't understand fully what all of that, what all was happening at that time. It wasn't until I was in my teens that it really started to affect me. And I started to realize how significant the things that happened to me were. And, so I ended up, I wouldn't say I was a bad kid, but I was very loud and, kind of fucked up. Like I started drinking when I was, like 13 years old. Not necessarily getting drunk all the time, but, like that. I was rebellious. I was loud. I was obnoxious. I was that goth chick that, everybody's like, we're going to stay away from that bitch. So it really made my teens stressful and, more than if I hadn't have gone through all of that.
So how many families did you end up cycling
3.
through?
I cycled through 3.
And then did you ever wind up with your I guess, birth
Yeah,
family?
when I was 13, I ended up moving back with my mom.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine, so what about, how was school? How were you in school during all this time?
Through elementary school and like that, I got good grades. I was good in school. But I was bored in school. I ended up acting out a lot, and they tried to diagnose me ADHD because I was just bored, so I didn't do the work. But I got good grades. I always managed to pass the tests and like that. In high school, I ended up not graduating in high school because I took too many extracurricular classes. And my regular classes, I would just fluff. We used to joke that I got senioritis as a freshman, as most of my friends were a year ahead of me. So, a lot of them had cars, or had friends that had cars. So, like, we'd get to school and then we'd just leave. The classes that I did go to were the ones I was interested in. So I took band, I took foods, I took computer classes. Like at 16, I was C++ certified.
Wow.
I know how to build my own computers and like that. So that like I ended up taking classes and attending the classes that I was interested in.
That's kind of cool. You said band. What instrument?
Mm-hmm. I taught myself to play the clarinet and the alto saxophone.
Wow. Do you still own any of these instruments? Do you still practice?
I do not right now. Like, it's been many years since I've played.
Yeah, I totally understand that. All right, so we kind of touched on the elementary. So if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at the age of 8, what would you tell yourself?
It gets better.
All right, you were kind of bow right. Say that again.
I wouldn't try to change anything or anything. I just tell myself it gets better.
Okay. Good. So did you said you were kind of wild, like was there something that you did that had, later you're thinking, holy smoke, how did I make it through that? And you understand what I'm saying, kind of?
Yeah, so when I was 8 years old, my foster mom was abusive. And so when I was 8 years old, I cut the screen on my bedroom window with a pair of scissors and hid them under my bed and ran away. And, bad idea. This is like in Southern California, in not a great area. And looking back on it, terrible things could have happened to me. But I had just been beaten, and I was like, I need to get out of here. And so I left, cut the screen with the scissors, and my foster mom and her kids thought I had been abducted, from the bedroom.
Man.
So eventually they found me about 6 hours later.
So,
But yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to figure. It's like This is interesting. I love see. This is why I love this show, man. Doing this is because every show has its own unique personality, and I appreciate you being so open and candid about that stuff, because I think people, we got to realize, man, we are people, and
Right.
it's like whether you're on the internet or not, whether no matter what side of the screen, like I say, you're on, it's we're all people. That's why I don't play a character or anything. I've got characters that I can go ahead and play it, but I'd rather people be real, man. And it's like it touches me that you were that you're that trusting in me, and I'm honored by that. So, all right. So, going into first times and everything, what about the first time? I'm going to say the first time you realized that boys were not grody.
Probably when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13. It was right before starting middle school, and there was this one boy, and I remember like little kids do, chasing him around and being like, "Oh, I love you," and trying to do kissy face and like that, and it was pretty entertaining until his brother tried to punch me for it.
And what about your first time, romantically with a guy?
So it's funny. It was I was 15, and it was at the Renaissance Fair. With not somebody that I was ever in a relationship with, but he was one of my best friends, and it was not great. But I still I'm in touch with this friend, and nothing ever came of it afterwards. But yeah, that was my first time.
So he's more like an exploration buddy than a romantic type of thing.
Yeah.
I got you.
Right.
I think we've all been there, fam.
Mm-hmm.
And the chat is shaking its head in agreement. I know that for sure. All right, so what about the first time you got fucked up?
I was 16, and I was drinking ouzo with my ex-fiance and my stepdad. And oh my goodness, I grew a pair of balls on me. I was so mad at my stepdad. I don't even remember what for, but I just remember my mouth just running, and trying to get kicked out of my house. And yeah, it was. I'm surprised that my stepdad and I still have a good relationship after that, because it was it almost came to the point where I was about to punch him. And I don't even remember what I was mad at him for, but I was mad.
Good old ouzo, right?
Right? Yeah, after that it took me a lot. I still can't drink anise flavored liquor.
Oh, really? Like a schnapps or anything like that?
Right. No Jaeger, unless it's mixed with a Red Bull. No, I don't do black licorice anymore.
Now, all right, in the chat, Terry Diamantis, who is Greek, says that ouzo is vile. Dude, what kind of Greek does that make?
Yeah,
you?
my ex-fiance is Greek.
Yeah.
That's what we were drinking.
That's the thing with the Greeks, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just caught in the corner of my eye, and I got tickled by that. I apologize. Oh, he is funny, man. He's a funny guy, man.
I like Terry.
Me too. Absolutely. All right. So, what was the first record you remember owning or buying? Going out of your way to obtain. And that includes,
So the
internet methods.
So the first album Yeah, so the first album I ever owned was actually bought for me, like, by my mom, because she wanted me to, like, she didn't like my taste in music, so she bought me Boyz II Men, and I still hate Boyz II Men. But the first albums I ever, like, bought myself was Korn, Follow the Leader, Metallica, the Black Album, and one other, I'm not sure, I don't remember. It wasn't obviously that significant to me. And that is, like, that formed my love for metal.
Okay, yeah, so we definitely got something in common on that one. I must confess that. As a matter of fact, you probably can't hear this, but there's background music playing, and it's a band I just discovered called King Weed from France.
We'll have to look them up.
No singing, just good crunchy guitar rock, man. Metal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, it's like kind of Black Sabbath-y, more like that type of pace. So.
Oh, I love that.
All right. And what was the first concert you went to?
Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, somebody was talking about that band yesterday or day before yesterday.
They're fantastic. I love Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, that's a blast. Cool. Let's see. So if I was to, like, I don't even know how you play music now. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many different ways to. I would say if I was to pull the I can't figure out how to say it. All right, so is there any, like, if I was to find out the last thing you listened to, what would it have been? That's it. I'll just say it that way. What?
It was.
Okay.
Hold on, I got to go back in my music app. It was Smothered by Spine Shank.
By who? Spine
Shank?
Spine Shank?
Like spine, like spine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. There's kind of a robot-y thing going on. I'm having difficulty hearing that.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
It's fine. All right. So, let's see. All right. So what about? So we didn't touch really on high school. What was that like for you?
High school was fun. I wasn't one of the popular kids, but I was like one of those kids that's not popular, but everybody knows who they are. Because I was in band, because I was a nerd and played D&D, and I hung out with the stoners, and I hung out with drama nerds. I hung out with kind of everybody. I didn't have, like, one core group. So I ended up kind of knowing everybody in the school without being one of the popular kids.
Well, that makes sense about, having to be adaptable to social situations because of the foster system. Maybe the influence that had on you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
I think that had a big influence.
Yeah, it's so you were basically, you could hang with anybody. You kind of a social chameleon, right? Yeah, that's very common. I run into all these to people like that. I'm kind of like that, to be honest. I try to find something I can relate with somebody and hang with them and relate.
Yeah.
It's cool. All right, so you get out of high school. What happens next?
Then I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, and we ended up moving from Utah to Montana, and that was fun. I loved living in Montana. We were homeless for a little while, and then eventually got ourselves an apartment and jobs and got that squared, and then I got pregnant. And because I got pregnant, I ended up having to move back to Utah and move into my ex-mother-in-law's house. So and then here I am at 19 and I have a baby and, doing the whole mom thing. And then after so when my son was about 3, he ended up moving in with his dad, because I thought that was the right thing to do. I wanted to make sure my son, had a relationship with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then my ex took advantage of that and, cut off contact with me, left the state, took my son, and I, which sucks. Like, it's a terrible thing, and like, I feel, that I feel like I failed because of that, but at the same time, I look back on it and I'm like, I couldn't have changed anything because that, like, I did what I thought was right in that moment, and I would never have wanted my son to not have a relationship with his dad. And then from there, like, I got very depressed for a long time, and then, I ended up moving to Minnesota, which was, I loved living in Minnesota. Minnesota was great, and I made some of my best friends I've ever had living in Minnesota. And I lived there for a while, about 6 years. And then I moved back to Utah because, Utah's like a black hole. You can only get so far away before you go back. And then...
So were you raised in Utah?
Well, I was raised in Southern California and in Utah.
Right, yeah. Were you raised as a Mormon?
When I was 14, we moved to Utah,
mm-hmm.
which was a huge shock. Like, I went from living, growing up in cities, I lived in Long Beach, and I lived in LA, and I lived in, Hesperia, and I lived in San Diego. So moving to Utah, like, where we lived was like an hour outside of town. We had no neighbors. We had 100 acres of, that we could do anything we wanted. And so when I first moved there, I absolutely hated it. And then I grew to love it because, like, I learned how to shoot rifles there. I learned, how to start fires because, every kid needs to know how to start a fire. And I found out SOS pads, they're the best fire starter. And then, learned how to make napalm. Like, I had all these awesome experiences, living out in the middle of nowhere that I couldn't have had anywhere else. And now as an adult, I would much rather live out in the middle of nowhere with no neighbors, an hour away from town, than live in the middle of a city.
That's kind of cool. I identify with that, but it's like I gotta be near people. I can't do that, man. Well, thanks to the internet, I can live with in the middle of nowhere and still feel connected to people. Like, I think some of my best friends, live in my computer. So do you still keep contact with anybody from high school? Have you gone to any reunions or anything?
I haven't gone to any reunions because I didn't graduate. But I still have friends that I talk to on a pretty frequent basis from when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot, and most of them I look, if I see, somebody who used to be my friend in high school, I see how they are now, and I'm like, I'm very glad that I don't have a relationship with you anymore. I'm very glad that we're not friends.
So what was the worst date you ever went on?
Honestly, I've never really been on many dates. Most of my relationships have been kind of backwards. Like, we'll hang out and do all that, and then we'll move in together, and then we'll go on a date.
I dig. Let's see. I'm pulling up. I've got a little random question generator I go through every once in a while, and all right. So So let's do this. Let's just shift down and kind of get talk about more about your taste and. But before that, all right. So bring me up to speed on marriages and children now.
I'm not married. I have no children of my own, but for the last 4 years, I've been raising 3 fantastic boys. And I'm sad because next month I'm leaving them. I'm not going to be raising them anymore. But, I'm ready to move on and have my own life and have, my own family.
Cool. So all right. So this is the point where I ask you about like things like what's your favorite horror film and who's your favorite horror director?
My favorite horror movie is called Puppet Master.
Yes.
It's most people I tell that to, they've either never seen it or they're like, that's a terrible movie. But that's my favorite horror movie.
All right. So there's the Puppet Masters, which is based on a Robert Heinlein book, I think Heinlein maybe.
Okay.
And then there's the Puppet Master, which was done by I think it was Trauma or Full Moon. Am I right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's a Full Moon production. Is that the one you're
I
talking
don't know.
about?
It's really old, and it's got the puppets with like the one I really remember is the one with the drill on his head.
Yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. Oh, dude.
And the one puppet, like she's really pretty, but she spits up the leeches, and she's my favorite.
Yeah, it is Full Moon, man. I knew it, man. Yeah, I love that. I love all that Full Moon stuff. Subspecies rules, fam. So what about directors? Is there a particular director that you like?
Really terrible with names, so the only like horror director that I know would be Rob Zombie, and I love like House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Not so much like his remakes that he's done of other horror movies, but I love Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses.
Did you ever see 31 and 3 from Hell? 3 from Hell finishes the Firefly story.
Haven't seen 3 from Hell.
Man, and 31, man, that was a crazy movie too.
I will have to look them up.
Yeah, that's more like if you're a Rob Zombie fan musically and film-wise, that's more like his music brain and his movie brain like fused together. 31.
That's fantastic. That sounds right up my alley.
That's in my opinion, that's the most underrated. It's a very underrated horror film, number one, and underrated as a Rob Zombie film too.
Right.
So, yeah. Devil Rejects is fantastic, and House of a Thousand Corpses. All those are really good movies. So yeah, Rob Zombie can be solid. I'm not happy with the Halloween thing, but it is what it is.
Right.
I say, I'm an old Carpenter person, so it's like I've got his stuff I can fall back on. All right, what about science fiction? You read science fiction or?
I love science fiction.
Right. I picked up on some kind of like nerd thing there.
I'm such a nerd. Like science fiction and fantasy, they're my jam. Obviously I played Dungeons and Dragons and like that. And I like science fiction because like good science fiction has a story that is rooted in reality, but you can get lost in the fantasy of it, and it just completely absorbed in the story. Bad science fiction though, you just get lost. But it's much more interesting to read than something like an autobiography about somebody that you don't even know who it is.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we want something that reminds us. It's like I don't know about you, but it's like I when I get fed up with the shit that's going on in reality, the last thing I want to see is anything about reality.
Right.
Calgon, take me away, as they say. Do you have a favorite science fiction film? That's...
My favorite science fiction film? I don't know if I have a favorite science fiction film. Or one that's specifically science fiction. Like, I like I, Robot. I thought that was a good movie, but I wouldn't call it, like, my favorite science fiction movie.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dune, like, miniseries that Sci-Fi Channel did.
You know what, man? Yeah, I need to see. I haven't seen that, so you're the third person that's told me about that this week. So maybe
I love Dune. Dune is, like, one of my favorite, science fiction series, and I love the miniseries. Like, I know there's things that could have been done better and made it more like the books, but I still love it. Like, it was very influential on me, like, all through high school.
I do. I saw something else. Straight Since the Mail said Lords of Salem. That's a good movie too. It's like it seems like with a zombie, he's is more subtly accepted, or his kind of pan stuff is really actually pretty. It is really good. The Time Machine. That's a great classic. Blade Runner. Great,
I like Blade Runner.
Great. It's a great classic sci-fi film.
I love anything Philip K. Dick. Like, I'll read his books, dude. I'll watch the movies. I love Philip K. Dick.
Did you get to see the what is the name of that book? I've totally drawn the blank. With where the America loses the World War II and Man in the High Castle.
I read that one. Yeah, Man in the High Castle.
Yeah, God, that was.
I like that one.
Good.
I need to get caught up on the series that Amazon Prime did.
Yeah, check it out and tell me what you think after you do, because we just got bathed by the algorithm, people. If you saw some weird flicky shit on your screen, that's the algorithm making sure we're doing things. Yeah, we're on the up and up. Fuck that. Just saying. All right, so we talked about horror and sci-fi. What about just good old drama? What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Tank Girl. Like, that's my go-to feel-good movie. Like, it makes me laugh. It's dumb and it's stupid, but it's so funny. I love that movie.
Oh, dude, I had the comic, right? I was a big fan of the comic when it came out, and I just loved it. It's just like the comic. The movie is really good, and a lot of people, they can kiss my ass because it's a good movie. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm with you, sister. Tank Girl. See, we're connecting on stuff, right? Metal, sci-fi, horror. It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's the things that I think make us all universally human. Is things that appeal to us like that. It touches emotionally, right? All right. So, what about TV? Have you got a favorite TV series? Anything you watched lately?
Firefly was my favorite TV series.
Oh, Firefly. That's a great. It was so pathetic. It was a one and done. The movie. Yeah. What did you think about the movie?
I love the movie, but the end is so sad. Like, it was very, very sad. The people who died, but at the same time, you got closure and you got to see the story come to a conclusion.
Right. Exactly. I totally agree with that. I think the readers that they could have been exploited. They could have done a whole movie just about them. Yeah.
And I wish that's one thing. I wish the series could have carried on and it gone more into the Reavers and into everybody's backstory and more on Inara and.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, what about anime? Are you an anime fan?
I love anime.
Okay, talk about anime a little bit. What's your favorite series?
My favorite series is called Serial Experiments Lane.
That sounds esoteric. Give me a breakdown. What's that about?
So it's it's kind of like there's two worlds. Like there's the real world where everybody lives in, but then there's what they call the wired, like kind of like the internet, and the two start to merge. And there's a little the little girl is like the center of it. Her name's Lane, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like it takes watching it several times to understand everything that's happening in the anime. But, it is kind of a sci-fi, what's the word? I can't even think of the word, like, but, techno, techno punk.
Right.
Yeah. But it's worth the watch. Even if you go, you come out of it and being like, that was ridiculous. I don't even understand anything that happened.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like French science fiction comics.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, like a niche kind of thing.
Yeah. But I watched that when I was 12, and it wasn't the first anime I had ever watched, but it was the first anime that I was ever like completely sucked into and wanted to see what happened and the conclusion of the story.
Sweet. Who's your favorite anime character?
My favorite anime character? Oh, I just forgot her name because now I was thinking of it. Give me 1 second to find it.
And while we're doing that, I'll see what the chat is up to.
Oh, Toru from Fruits Basket. She's
Okay.
my favorite anime character.
I think you and Setsu would get along. Setsu 2 cents.
Yep.
Right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I do.
He is very into that very like deep niche anime, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I like weird animes.
Well, it's not just weird. It's like how like people, if they have a hobby or something, they become obsessed with it, right? It becomes they get into it on a deeper level than most people, and and that's what I see with what I'm hearing from you and from him. So and I admire that. I admire the hobby aspect of just having something that you love like that and kind of collecting all these different weird stories. All right.
Yeah, I love collecting like the mangas and reading them and watching the animes and comparing them.
Yeah. Who's the guy that did Junji Ito did some of the horror comics? I like his stuff.
Read too many horror comics.
All right, so this is the point where I ask you about do you have any like identifiable marks? Do you have any scars, tattoos? What's your ideal tattoo or one that explains you? What does that look like? And do you have any piercings, scars, tattoos?
I have scars, I have piercings, I have tattoos. I have so many tattoos. My left sleeve, I have a full sleeve, and it's very much like my childhood and the things that kind of influenced who I am. So it's got I've got the Contra Code. I have Rainbow Bright and Nightmare, Jack and Sally. I have Grr. I've got all of the Mario Brothers characters. And it's very, kind of 90s baby on my arm.
Right.
And then then piercings, I have had my lip pierced. I have my I have several piercings in each ear, and I have other piercings. But I also have scars. Like
Dot, dot, dot.
I have a scar on my left ankle from where I had third-degree burns on my ankle when I was 4.
Wow.
I sat on one of those old steam radiator heaters,
Oh, damn.
and while I was sitting on it, it turned on and actually melted my ankle.
Shit.
Yeah. And like I was wearing like little cap shoes, so my foot got stuck. Like they had to cut me out of the shoe to get me off the radiator.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then I have on my
How
right
old were you
ankle.
when that happened?
I was 4 when I burnt my ankle.
Okay, wow.
Like I almost had to, like it was bad enough. Like they were almost had to do skin grafts.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then on my right ankle, I have all kinds of scars because I broke both of my ankles at the same time, but I shattered the right ankle. So I've had 5 surgeries. Like I had, scars from necrotic tissue,
Wow.
and then surgery scars, and like I've had plates put in my ankle. I've had a bone graft. I've had the plates and screws taken out of my ankle. So, it's kind of, messed up looking, but that's part of me. And then I have
So do you deal with
I
chronic
have
pain?
scars all along my the back of my right arm and my right shoulder from where I had glass embedded in there from a car accident.
Wow. Yeah. So are you in a chronic pain situation because of that? That sounds very painful.
I am.
Yeah.
I have neuropathy, and then I have something called complex regional pain syndrome,
What does that mean?
and that it's a pain disorder that comes from trauma, and it causes even more neuropathy symptoms. But it causes me, like, so when my throughout the day, like it'll cause my foot and my ankle to swell up, but it'll also cause it to like be hot and turn purple. Like it causes a lot of weird pain issues.
Man. So how do you cope with that?
I take pain medications, and I do what I have to do. Like I have 3 kids that I'm taking care of, a house that I have to try to keep up with, and I do what I do.
Right. And people don't understand that chronic pain, what kind of effect it has on a person psychologically. I'm a chronic pain.
Yeah, it's so depressing.
Yeah, you can get very depressed. Especially, since they've limited, in my case, I'm kind of glad they kind of cut out, but I'm totally, do what your doctor says, find a doctor. If you can't find a doctor that believes you, it's like I don't know. It's very.
I have a good pain doctor right now. When I move, though, I'm moving back to Utah for a little bit, and I'm hoping while I'm there to be able to get my medical card so I can, use THC instead of the oxys that I am taking now.
Right. Right, and and I tell you, make sure that they wean you slowly off of this shit.
Right.
Because I went through horrible withdrawals.
I'm afraid, because I'm on so much gabapentin. I'm afraid of like the withdrawal and when I have to go off of that.
But I'm glad to be on the other side of that shit, and weed does work. So.
Yes, it does.
And it's God-given, as they say. All right, so moving on. All right, with our questions, why don't we? What about? All right, she said something about games. Do you have a favorite game?
Fantasy VIII is probably my favorite game.
That's a very
It was
popular
the first RPG I ever played, and the first Final Fantasy game I ever played. So that's like, nostalgia to me.
That is speaking of nostalgia, let's go ahead and in 40 years, what do you think people will be nostalgic for?
Huh. I almost want to jokingly say meat, because they're trying to, make everybody vegetarian and, eat bugs and
Eat the
so
bugs.
maybe we'll be nostalgic for like actually eating meat.
Eat the fucking bugs.
Right.
Sleep in the pond. Eat the bugs. Get
Yeah.
over it. What's the most useless talent you have?
The most useless talent I have? I don't know. I can touch my thumb to my forearm.
Wow. So you got hyper flexibility on that? Jeez, man.
No, I don't have hyper flexibility. That's just like, one area where I'm more flexible than most people.
Okay. Are you a contortionist?
I wish.
What song instantly gets you hyped up?
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Hell yeah. I like that. Good answer. Do you have any habits that you want to change?
I need to quit smoking.
What's the best gift
And that-
somebody ever gave you?
My son, like, even though I don't have him, like, and, I haven't seen him since he was a baby, like, that's, the, best gift I ever got.
I hear you. All right, so let's see. All right, so we're getting close. All right, fam, people in the chat, remember, if you have any questions, go ahead and jot them down and get them ready to pop in the chat, because I'll take a break and let y'all start loading those in right after. I got a couple more questions here, then we'll go into the lifting questions, okay? So we'll ask you about your talent. If you could know the absolute and total truth of one question, what would it be? What would you ask?
I guess, looking back at my childhood and everything, like, I would ask, that neighbor why. Why they did what they did, and, would they do it again if they knew what their, the harm their actions caused.
Yeah. So, all right, here's another question about going. If you could go back in time and spend a week with anybody out of history, who would it be?
Oh, wow, that is a question. Oh my goodness, I don't know. Oh, it would be interesting to have the time to talk to and get to know Freddie Mercury.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great answer. I like that. He was a fascinating person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What is your spirit animal?
Oh, cat.
Okay. And all right, so this is where I don't know if you've heard this part before, but I do in homage to one of my influences on this interview thing. I used to do a show called Inside the Actor Studio. James Lipton. He would ask everybody that he interviewed. He interviewed some of the greatest, mostly actors, some directors. But it was primarily inside the actor studio, all right, is what he called it. And he would ask them these. Each and every one of them got these 10 questions at some point during the interview. And it always starts off with, what is your favorite word?
Like, fantastic. Fantastic is my favorite word.
Sweet. So what is your least favorite word?
Stupid. I hate when people describe things as stupid. Like, there's so many more and better descriptors for when you don't like something or when you think something is, not up to how you want it to be, up to your standards. Like, why do we have to call everything stupid?
Yeah. It's like, what I've heard people use it as a superlative too, though,
Mm-hmm.
Man, that song was stupid.
It's just not my...
It's like, make up your mind. All right, so what turns you on creatively, spiritually, and emotionally?
It has to be interesting. I have to, it doesn't matter what it is. I have to be invested. I creatively, if I'm, crocheting something, the pattern or the person I'm making it for, or, it has to be interesting and draw my interest. Even, in my relationships, it's less about how the person looks and more about, my interest in them. I don't, and that kind of sounds selfish, but that's, it has to be interesting to me.
Good. What turns you off?
I don't like unintelligent people. And not necessarily not smart, but, if you're going to talk to me about something, know what you're talking about. If you're trying to explain something to me and you don't know what it is, but you're acting like you do, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's okay to not know something about something, right? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Fucking blowhards that think they know everything about something or everything or about everything, and it's it's okay to not know, man, and say I don't know, and
and I would rather you tell me I don't know. I'll look it up, rather than bullshit your way through it. I don't want to hear your bullshit. I want to hear your opinions.
Here. True enough, man. In other words, I'll level with you, level with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, that kind of communication defeats a lot of negative things. Just being completely honest with people. So what sound or noise do you love?
Do I love laughter? Somebody laughing, or if I can make one of the kids laugh, or even if they're making each other laugh, that just makes me so happy.
Yeah, kids' laughter is awesome, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, what's your favorite curse word?
Cunt.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Screeching noises. I hate screeching noises. The 9-year-old that I'm raising, he's autistic, and that's one of his tics. He'll just start screeching, and that drives me up the wall.
And just for the chat, are you tied down or are you available?
I am not available.
Oh, well, there's a lot of disappointed dudes in the fucking chat right now.
I flirt and I'm a tease, but I'm not available.
I feel you. I'm 42, and I'm old. What's all right? Well, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I want to learn how to do not laser, but permanent hair removal.
Oh yeah, okay. You use that on on tattoos too. Yeah, that's where the big money is.
Well, I'm not going to do laser. I'm going to do electrolysis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, completely different. All right, what profession would you not like to do?
I don't ever want to work in customer service again. I hate people. I don't want to deal with people. I mean, I love people, but I customers, they take the customers always, right, way too far. And it's like, no, sweetie, you're in the wrong. You screwed up. I'm not fixing it.
All right, and the final lifting question is if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gate?
I don't know. I want him to tell me I did good. Taking everything that I've been through, and I just want to know that I made, that I made good decisions and, followed the path that I was supposed to.
Indeed. Okay, so all right, now we're going to, there's some questions in the chat. I've seen got queued up. Jesus, there's a shitload. All right. You're very interesting to some of these guys here. Keeper Down wants to know, do you want to do another movie night soon?
Of course. Anytime. Well, not tonight, but anytime.
Okay. Let's see. Straight Sith Mail asks, what is the biggest organism on Earth?
The biggest organism on Earth? Mushrooms. Like, they look small on top, but you go underneath and they're all interconnected.
The fungi, the fungi equivalent of an iceberg.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love mushrooms. I think they are so interesting. Like, just how they work is fascinating.
Indeed. So what do you think of Barbara from the channels Barbara for You to See, Barbara for You to Relax, The Barb 2.0, and Barbara Horvat?
I have no idea.
Do you have any strange collections?
Strange? I collect makeup.
Oh, wow. All right. And what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Salted caramel.
Wow. There you go. See, people, I'm trying to fold that, trying to remember to fold it, because it's the name of the show, right?
Right.
Madness wants to ask if you would meet her alternative. Oh, okay. Would you meet your alternative universe counterpart and have sex with him or her?
Probably not. They'd probably drive me up the wall.
Yeah. And would that be incest or masturbation? I don't know.
Somewhere in between.
Far huge of a big brain question for me. What's your favorite brand of beer?
Shell's beer from Minnesota, and I can't get it here.
Oh, wow. Let's see. What's your favorite Dragon Ball character?
Android 18.
Wow. What's the weirdest thing you have ever seen or done? It's just
The weirdest thing
Yeah.
I don't know that I have an answer for it. Like, I've seen lots of weird things, but I don't know. In my life, I'm kind of like, oh, I mean, it's fucked up, but kind of normal. So I don't know.
All right. What is your favorite number? Are you high, Madness?
69.
Okay. Fair enough. Sorry about that. I take that question back, Madness, because that was a good question. Divine Petulance wants to know, what's your favorite cheesy pattern for pajamas?
I don't wear pajamas.
I'm making a Dr. Evil like little thing with my pinky and smirking. Let's see what else. All right, what's the cutest? Who is the cutest stuffed beaver ever?
Well, it depends on what you mean by stuffed beaver.
Is it you, Divine Petulance? Is that the answer to that question? Maybe, I don't Do you have a favorite personal toy? Spittle.
Yes, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
You got it. Yeah, some things need All right, what do you think about the anime Hellsing?
It's on my list to watch, but I haven't started it yet.
I haven't seen it either. Ever seen an anime called The Pupa?
I have not.
All right, and let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, Time Am wants to know what's the last movie you really, really liked and watched?
And the last movie that I really, really liked and watched was The Perfect Host.
What's that about?
A guy spends the night, in a situation where, he thinks he's going to be murdered by a serial killer.
Oh, wow. That sounds tense. What's that called again?
It is, but it's so good.
What's it called again?
The Perfect Host.
The Perfect Host. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Boku no Pico?
I haven't seen it.
What do you think of Full Metal Alchemist?
I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I like the original Full Metal Alchemist, but Brotherhood's my favorite version of that anime.
Did you see the live action movie?
No, I avoid live action remakes of anime.
Dude,
they tend to be kind of shit.
I don't know, man. I liked Attack on Titan. I thought that worked well. I like the Death Note movies. That's just me. I'm just a smooth brain old man in Alabama. So, Zach on B says, who has the best boobs out of every horror movie you've ever seen?
I don't know. That's not something I ever thought about.
I hear you. What's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory, I think I was 3 years old, and we were moving somewhere, up the East Coast, and I remember driving up the East Coast, by the ocean, and seeing all of the Navy vessels out, just far enough that you couldn't, that you could just barely make out what each ship was.
Neat.
And I remember seeing that out the car window.
How much do you like hearing scribes say your name? Let's check your logic. Good question.
Hearing Scribe say my name, that's just, I love it. I think it's great. Scribe is one of the first people I watched who really noticed me and said my name. So it always makes me smile.
You remember back in the day when he was doing those commercials and shit for people?
Mm-hmm. I do.
He got, shit. You talk about creative. That dude could take anything and turn it into a commercial. Very cool.
Oh yeah, and I love seeing his the thumbnails he makes for each stream with everybody's face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are awesome too, aren't they? He's talented.
They are awesome.
Very creative. I love creative people.
I do too.
How bad was the Carol Danvers movie?
Carol Danvers movie?
I think.
Oh, so bad that I didn't even go watch it.
I feel you. Let's see. What is the capital of South Dakota? Aircraft Sparky wants to know.
I don't know. I was never very good at geography.
We'll let you slide on that one, man. I don't know it either.
I am not.
What's your alphanumeric place in the universe?
Here? I don't know.
If you would play Mario Party, which character would you play?
Princess Peach.
Okay, cool. What's your favorite cereal? Ty Man says his is
think-
Apple Jacks.
Apple Jacks is great, but mine is my favorite cereal is Apple Cinnamon Cheerios.
Sweet. All right, so we're going to wrap up after these next 2 or 3 questions, and we're going to wrap on the questions, okay, guys? Which European country would you like to visit one day? Question mark.
Scotland. I want to see Scotland something fierce. Like, I went to Ireland right before the pandemic hit, and now I want to go to Scotland next.
Who's the worst streamer you watch?
I don't know. I don't watch a bad streamer. Like, you know, if I don't connect to them or their content, I'm just not going to watch them. So I don't have, like, a worst.
All right, Smoke Steve, I don't know. I didn't know you were autistic or.
No, the 9-year-old I'm raising is autistic, and I have not looked into cannabis for him, just because his mom is opposed to that. Like,
right.
She's, you know, very, no, we're not, no.
If Nestle made an Apple Jacks milk additive, why would it be your favorite?
I don't drink milk.
All right, what is your favorite color? What is the purpose of your quest, and what is the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
Okay, so my favorite color is purple. My quest is to find the Grail, and you know, do you want to know African or European?
I don't know. Autism for the win. Okay, I hear you. A lot of neurodivergence. Hanging around this interwebs, you know, and it's cool. I've got one in my family. I married a neurodivergent young lady, and she's
and they're great. I love them. You know, you have to pick your battles.
I hear you, man. Exactly. All right, and so we're going to wrap up the questions from the chat. Chat, you are awesome as usual. Great show. All right, so this is the point where we're back at YouTube, and I ask you, who would you say is a criminally undersubscribed YouTuber that you watch?
Virgie.
Absolutely, I totally concur. Let's see. How about a YouTuber that you think is way, way, way overhyped?
A YouTuber that I think is way overhyped? I don't know. None of, like, the people that I watch, you know, are really overhyped. You know, they're more, you know, again, like, in kind of the you know, centrist and, you know, conservative realm of YouTube. Like, that's kind of where I stay.
Mm-hmm. What do you think will finally break the internet?
What do I think? What I think will finally break the internet is the left going so far left that you know, everybody ends up being canceled. Like, I don't see an end to the cancellations and to, you know, the left going even further left, because they are the loudest voices. You know, and they just keep going so far. I think eventually they're going to go so far that it just falls apart.
JP Cast, too late for questions, dude. I see you, though. Much love, my friend. He wants to know what your social security number is. This is a joke.
Yeah, it's 1369.
The correct answers. I like that answer. Let's see. Boom. Do you have any? All right. So, do you have anything that's new content-wise that you want to promote right now?
I don't. I started streaming on Twitch, but I had to stop because my computer broke. So I don't have a computer to stream with at the moment.
But you can build one.
I can build one. I just, it has to wait. I have other things financially that have to come first.
Do you have like a Streamlabs or some kind of donation platform?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, that's always an option to paypal.me. Just let me know if you decide to ever do anything like that, and I'll make sure that people through because you're awesome, and we want you to have a computer.
Yeah.
And this is the point where, all right, so before we part, you show your channel, which is in the links below, as well as Xaublae's Twitter. So it's time. I guess it's time to say goodbye to the chat and thank them for being awesome Famericans. and on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. How about?
Yep. Good night.